Welcome back, dear students, for today's session on the chapter Human Health and Diseases. Here we have the first question as follows. Causative agent of TB is. See, dear friends, let me tell you, TB here refers to the full form rather is tuberculosis. Alright. So here the four options have been mentioned. The first option is Salmonella. Alright. The Salmonella typhi rather is a causative agent of typhoid. Alright. And Streptococcus as well as the Pneumococcus both are causative agents of pneumonia. Alright. Then my dear friends, we have the next option, that is Mycobacterium. Alright. See, Mycobacterium tuberculosis is the causative agent of TB. Alright. Mycobacterium tuberculosis is the causative agent of TB or tuberculosis disease. Alright. It's a bacterial disease. Let me tell you that tuberculosis, whenever we speak, alright, tuberculosis potentially it affects the lungs, my dear friends. Alright. Important organs called lungs are affected. Alright. And this, whenever the infected person, alright, coughs or sneezes, alright, so the infection will be spread to the others. Alright. So let me tell you, my dear friends, typhoid, which causes salmonella, this is a enteric fever we call. Alright. Typhoid is a enteric fever. And let me tell you that further, whenever we talk about typhoid, alright, it is generally transmitted by water and food contaminated with the feces of the patient. Whereas Streptococcus pneumoniae, alright, or we generally say Streptococcus pneumoniae as what? Pneumococcus, alright. So both these two strains, alright, these are gram-negative bacteria that are responsible for major of the community acquired infections, my dear friends. Alright. Community acquired infections. Alright. So here, so the right option which we have to go for, alright, so now is Mycobacterium, obviously. Alright. So remember, alright, Mycobacterium, as I said, affects the lungs, alright, where the person will have the severe infection in lungs, breathing difficulty, the sputum, alright, darkish sputum production as well. Okay, the same pneumonia also we can find most of the aspects, like in pneumonia also we have inflammation of the lungs, alright, where the air sacs in the lungs, alright, will fill with the liquid or pus, my dear friends, alright, which interferes with the, alright, the lungs ability to transfer oxygen to the blood. Alright, anyway, the right option here we have to go for option C, that is Mycobacterium. Then dear friends, the second question we have here is cryopreservation is. Dear friends, now see, let me tell you that cryopreservation is a technique, alright, where in minus 196 degrees Celsius in liquid nitrogen, alright, we can preserve, alright, many biological specimens, alright, which is of very much importance in research, alright, as well as, let me tell you, we can preserve the cells, alright, we can preserve many different types of tissues as well to go with that, alright. Any other biological constructs, alright, can be kept at very low temperature, that is minus 196 degrees Celsius in liquid nitrogen, alright. So it's very, it finds its importance in, alright, storage, alright. So the right answer which you can go for is what? Preservation at very low temperature, my dear friends, alright. Cryopreservation, which is at minus 196 degrees Celsius in liquid nitrogen. Then dear friends, we have the next question. What is the role of complement in the body's defense? Alright. Whenever, dear friends, we are talking about the complement system, let me tell you that complement system here in fact refers to, alright, the body's defense system. Alright. Complement system is what? it's the body's defense system. All right, it's a part of important part of our immune system, my dear friends. All right, and let me tell you that the complement system, all right, enhances, all right, the ability of antibodies as well as the phagocytic cells, all right, to remove, all right, microbes, all right, to remove microbes or even damaged cells from an organism. That is what we call complement system. Let me repeat, complement system enhances the body's ability of antibodies and phagocytic cells to, all right, act against and to remove the microbes and damaged cells from the organisms. All right, it promotes inflammation. Whenever there is the microbial attack, inflammation will be seen. All right, especially the complement system works in throwing out the damaged cells and the microbes from from the body. All right, so we can say that, right, the major function of the complement system among the given following. See, 4 options have been given. It interferes with viral replication. No, it is not the function of major function of complement system. Or it is either not involved in antibody production, my dear friends. It aids in antigen presentation. Never, dear friends. See, all right, all these 3, let me explain you. See, interferes with viral replication. What they have given for this, you can say interferons are the important agents which fight against the, all right, viral infected cells. They stop the viral replication inside the cells, all right, which is already infected by viruses. All right, secondly, in the antibody production, all right, let me tell you here, we talk about the B cells, all right, that is our B lymphocytes. These B lymphocytes, rather, they produce 2 types of cells, all right. One is the plasma cells, all right, and also the next they also produce memory B cells, all right, memory cells. So here the plasma cells will produce the antibodies, my dear friends. All right, that is also not the option. Then we have this antigen presentation is brought about by certain cells called APC, antigen presenting cells, which have in them something called as major histocompatibility complex or MHC complex. With the help of this, they carry the antigen and deliver it to the B lymphocytes or T lymphocytes. All right, that is the role of antigen presenting cells. So complement system does not participate in these 3 functions, my dear friends. The major, all right, the function of complement system is to lyse the cells, cell lysis, all right, and eliminate the damaged cells and perform the phagocytosis, all right, in the body. All right, so the right answer here you have to go for is, dear friends, option D. Next question we have, asthma may be attributed to, all right. See, dear friends, see, asthma may be attributed to allergic reactions, my dear friends. All right, it's a allergic reaction, all right, generally speaking. See, allergy, as we all know that allergy is what? The hypersensitivity of the body, all right, hypersensitivity reactions, or we can say exaggerated immune response, my dear friends. Whenever we are saying exaggerated immune response, all right, remember that more than the sufficient quantities, all right, the body's immune system will release various components, antibodies, all right, to act against the allergens. All right, so that asthma is a part of the allergic reaction in most cases. All right, and let me also tell you, dear friends, that in asthma generally we find various symptoms, my dear friends, like we have coughing, all right, and it is also associated with symptoms like wheezing and also chest tightness, my dear friends. All right, chest tightness will also be present as the symptom of asthma, my dear friends. Here asthma maybe certain times can also be referred to as bronchial asthma or reactive airway disease. See, asthma can be also called as bronchial asthma, alright, bronchial asthma, or it can also be said to as reactive, alright, airway disease, alright, reactive airway disease, alright. So here remember my dear friends, now that let me come to the question. Now we have understood what asthma is and where it is attributed to, alright, in simple terms. Now let me come to the question. See here let me tell you, there are certain specialized cells called as mast cells, my dear friends. These mast cells will secrete, alright, certain important components during this asthma, right? Especially we call like histamine, alright. Along with that, even we can say prostaglandins, alright, prostaglandin D2, alright, prostaglandin D2. Even many other are there, like even we can include leukotriene, right? All these components are secreted from the mast cells, my dear friends, and these are capable of inducing bronchoconstriction, mucus secretion, alright, mucosal edema, alright, which are what we can say the important features of, alright, asthma, alright. So it is fighting against, alright, the the allergic agents which are causing asthma, my dear friends. So asthma, remember, is attributed to allergic reaction of the mast cells in the lungs, alright. It is not the inflammation of the trachea or accumulation of fluids in the lungs or bacterial infection in the lungs, alright. These are all three are not the one, alright. Always remember, whenever we talk about asthma, majorly we speak about the mast cells, alright, which release histamine and prostaglandin, even including leukotrienes, alright, which induces mucus secretion, mucosal edema, and many other important immunological responses. So go for option A, that will be your right answer. Next question, dear friends, we have presence of RBC in urine is known as, alright. 4 options have been mentioned: hematuria, urolithiasis, nephritis, and proteinuria. Here, my friends, see, again here we need to understand that here they are asking presence of RBC in urine, alright. See, whenever it is such, we are speaking about what? When there is RBC, then definitely we are speaking about what? The blood in the urine in simple terms, alright, my friends, because RBC is an important component of blood. When there is RBC in the urine, it can be a microscopic observation, that's okay, but let me tell you, my dear friends, there will be blood in the urine. General that condition, see, the name itself says here hematuria, alright, it is indicating to blood. The blood in the urine is referred to as, or presence of RBC in the urine is referred to as hematuria. Dear friends, see, this blood in the urine may range from obvious to, alright, very clearly visible, alright, or it can even be microscopic, my dear friends. Microscopic in the sense it is not at all visible at all, even in certain cases it's not visible at all, right? So anyway, the condition where there is presence of RBC or there is very clear obvious indication of blood in the urine, that condition is referred to as what? Hematuria. But let us also understand, my dear friend, the other option. The right answer is hematuria here, but also let us move with the second option, what it actually is. They have given urolithiasis, alright. In simple terms, we can say that urolithiasis can be also generally referred to as what? Kidney stones, alright. See, kidney stone is what? A small hard deposit generally which forms in the kidney, alright. Hard deposit which forms in the kidneys, alright. Alright, my dear friends. So let me say that this urolithiasis is early indication of chronic kidney disease. Chronic means for a very prolonged period of time, if kidney is affected, the condition will be, one of the common condition would be urolithiasis, that is the formation of the kidney stones. especially due to the deposition of calcium, all right, containing substances. Dear friends, next we have nephritis. Nephritis is what? The condition, all right, in which tissues in the kidneys become inflamed, or tissues of kidney, they become, all right, inflamed, my dear friends, all right. So that is what we refer it to as nephritis, all right. And remember, when there is the inflammation of the tissues of kidneys, the filtering of waste from the blood becomes a task here, very difficult task, all right. Then we have proteinuria. See, so here, all right, excess of protein will be, all right, present in the urine, all right, will be protein can be seen in the urine, my dear friends, all right. So anyway, so this is also indication of chronic kidney disease, my friends. As I said, you kidney stones, if they are present for very long periods of time, that can lead to definitely some chronic kidney disorder, all right, if untreated. But more dangerous than that can be proteinuria if unchecked, if completely unchecked, all right. So proteinuria, all right, can be a very, all right, indication of chronic kidney disease as well, all right. So anyway, my dear friends, among the four given options, we can go for, all right, option, all right, which I said hematuria, that is A. Next, dear friends, we have, you leave about sixth question, all right. It is not concerned with this chapter, all right. Leave this question, all right. Anyway, what the question is here, pyrenoid contains, all right. See here, pyrenoid, all right, whenever we speak of it, contains protein plus starch. They are molecules which consist of protein plus starch. The option C is the right answer here. Anyway, so let us move with the next question. So a non-infectious, unnatural, all right, unusual reaction to a substance or condition is. See here, friends, this is four options have been given. The first is immunity, followed by allergy, infection, and toxins, all right. See here, whenever we speak about non-infectious, unnatural, unusual reaction to a particular substance, generally we are, particular substance here is referred to the allergen. Here we are talking about particular substance, called allergen. This allergen only will give rise to, will be only the non-infectious, unnatural, and, all right, material which gives unusual reaction, all right, in the body, all right, children. So here, that is nothing but, all right, my friends, that is allergy. Option B is the right answer here. Allergies can also be called to as hypersensitivity reactions of our body. We have already discussed about this, all right. Hypersensitivity, all right, or we can also say it as what? Exaggerated immune response, all right. And further, the allergens, whenever we talk about allergens, these allergens are harmless, all right, non-infectious agents only. They are not infectious agents like bacteria, virus, or any other microbe, all right. They are generally harmless, all right. And here, all right, remember the symptoms of asthma include what all? We can say one of the common symptom is what? Red eyes, all right. Then there will be itching, all right, especially of rashes. Whenever there is rash, there will be itching as well. And sneezing is also one of the common symptom which we can find with respect to allergy, all right. Running nose can also be an important, all right, symptom associated with allergy. To go with that, even shortness of breath, my dear friends. See, in the allergy we can also find shortness of breath in many cases, all right. So here, dear friends, all right, so whatever the the things are here, there are still lot of aspects to be discussed about allergy, but let us concentrate on the given question here, all right. Non-infectious, unnatural, and unusual reaction, all right, is nothing but allergy. So immunity is what, my dear friends? Immunity is, all right, the resistance against diseases. What is immunity here? Resistance, all right, which is given by the body's immune system, is what we call it to as the immunity, my friends, all right. Then next we have even infection. One more important word here, infection. What we mean by infection here? See, infection here basically means to say, all right, the invasion and growth of germs in the body. All right, when the germs enter our body and causes what I can grow, when they grow, all right, the condition will be infection, my friends. And toxic, this word toxic, all right, where we use, see, it's a poison of plant or animal origin. All right, generally when we are speaking about toxin, it's a poison. Either it can be of plant origin, all right, or it can be of animal origin, my dear friends. All right, can be of both. And remember that this toxin, all right, it can be even, all right, derived from microorganisms as well. All right, so it acts as antigen. Generally toxic, toxic substances, generally they are considered as antigens in the body, my dear friends. So the right answer, as I said you, here is option B. Next, my friends, the 8th question we have here, enzyme which has fibrinolytic effect. Fibrinolytic effect is, see here, there is one enzyme called streptokinase. See, streptokinase, what it does is it breaks, right, the cross links which are present between fibrin molecules. All right, that is the major role played by the, all right, streptokinase. All right, and there will be, whenever there is breakage of cross links between fibrin molecule, there will be plasmin production in the blood. Plasmin, all right, this plasmin production in the blood which is there, all right, will break down the fibrin. All right, it breaks down the fibrin, my dear friends. All right, so and let me tell you, if plasmin is produced in very high quantities, all right, extra production if it is there, which is caused by streptokinase, all right, that will be caused by generally streptokinase breakdown. All right, so anyway, my dear friends, see, generally this, what happens whenever this whenever there is what I can say, the more plasmin, all right, which is produced by the streptokinase, it also helps in getting rid of the unwanted blood clots as well, all right, if any. So the right answer here is what? The fibrinolytic effect. Fibrinolytic effect, as I have explained you now, all right. That means, please understand, streptokinase breaks the cross link between fibrin molecules, ultimately producing plasmin and further breaking down fibrin itself and removing blood clots. All right, that's what we call fibrinolytic effect. All right, and that is brought about by streptokinase. The other protease is the enzyme which breaks down protein. Amylase breaks down starch, and lipase breaks down lipid. All right, so anyway, go for option D. That is your right answer. Dear friends, next question we have, diacetyl morphine is commonly known as. See, remember, my dear friends, whenever, all right, morphine, all right, whenever morphine, all right, is treated with acetic anhydride, all right, acetic anhydride, all right, it gives rise to a powerful combination called as diacetyl morphine. All right, remember, all right, so we can say that it's a combination of what? Morphine plus acetic anhydride. All right, this acetic anhydride, all right, when it is treated with morphine, the combination which is formed, no, the diacetyl morphine, that itself is called as what? Heroin. Heroin can also be called to as smack. All right, generally this heroin will be white or brown powder. All right, and remember that heroin certain times, all right, it will be a black sticky substance also. If if that is the case, we can also call that as what? Black tar heroin. All right, see, this heroin, the word why it comes is, After the drug addicts, all right, intake this drug, all right, they feel sense of grandeur, they feel like a hero or heroine. That's why the name heroine here. All right, here see this heroin or diacetyl morphine can be either smoked, all right, or it can be snorted, or even it can be injected, my dear friends. All right, generally these are the three ways which this drug is taken by the addicts. Here anyway, the major aspect about the heroin you need to remember is that it acts as a depressant. It is actually, heroin is what, my dear friends? It is a depressant, and it generally kills pain, my dear friends. Right, so this is about heroin. So diacetyl morphine, all right, is also called as heroin. Let us also understand few important aspects about cocaine. Cocaine is generally called as coca alkaloid. All right, now I had told that heroin was what? Heroin was a depressant, but here coca alkaloid, which is cocaine, all right, it is a stimulant, my dear friends. Here this cocaine is what? White crystalline alkaloid. It is a white crystalline alkaloid. All right, so this is obtained from the leaves of cocoa plant. From the leaves of this cocoa plant, this, all right, cocaine is obtained, my dear friends. And remember, generally, okay, medically, let me tell you, medically the cocaine is used as a anesthetic to kill the pain again. All right, it is used as a anesthetic medically. All right, so this is about a few important aspects about the cocaine. It's a coca alkaloid and it is a, all right, stimulant. Then dear friends, next we have hashish. All right, hashish is also called as charas. All right, it is a cannabinoid. All right, there are various different types of cannabinoids, my friends. All right, so among that, hashish, ganja, all right, even the next C, which we will discuss, that also is a, what I can say, the it is a cannabinoid. What actually it does, all right, see, it generally I can say that when the person takes these cannabinoids, they will have illusions, all right, their emotions, thoughts, perceptions will be altered, all right, and my friends, generally, if I want to give you example, this hashish, dried leaves, they are rubbed against a stone and taken during the holy festival. All right, so fine, and in fact, generally the hashish should be, all right, generally prepared by concentrated resin. All right, it's a prepared from the concentrated resin. All right, coming from the flowering tops of cannabis plant. There are various types of cannabis plant: cannabis sativa, cannabis ruderalis, cannabis indica. Like this, many plants are there from which cannabinoids are obtained. But remember, from the flower tops, all right, generally this hashish is obtained. All right, so this is about what I can say, the hashish. And further, ganja. All right, ganja is generally called to as what, my friends? Marijuana. All right, it is also a cannabinoid, my friends. All right, so same, it alters the thoughts, perceptions, emotions. All right, so it is also obtained from various cannabis plants. So anyway, diacetyl morphine here is what? Heroin. So you have to go for, all right, option D. That will be your right answer. Next question we have, narcotics include. Friends, here, so we need to understand what actually the narcotics is all about. All right, see here, let me represent, whenever we are talking about the narcotics, it is a substance, all right, which is used to treat, all right, it is used to treat moderate to severe pain. All right, moderate to severe pain. So this is what is the major function of what? The narcotic. Narcotic is a substance which is used to treat the pain in simple sense. Alright. See, they are generally, these narcotics are generally like opiates. Alright. Most of the opiates or opioids, they are, they kill the pain. Alright. So they bind to the opioids, how they bind to the opioid receptors of the brain and kill the pain. In the similar manner, narcotics also act. Alright. If I say morphine and codeine, the opiates, how they kill the pain. In the similar manner, these narcotics also acts, my dear friends. But generally, these narcotics are not made from opium. Alright. See, but let me tell you, these, they narcotics, whenever we talk, right, they bind to the opioid receptors, again, in the central nervous system. Alright. But before they were not generally referred to as what? Under the as opiates, but as they are now showing, they have more, what I can say, uses to treat alright, the pain. So now they are called as what? In fact, opioids. Alright, they are called as opioids because they kill the pains. That's why they are included under opioids, my dear friends. So one of the opioid here among the given following is what? The option A, that is papaver. So papaver somniferum. Alright, so go for option A, that will be your right answer. And Rauwolfia, here see, from the Rauwolfia vomitaria, one of the plant. Alright, that plant shows tranquilizing properties. Alright, tranquilizing properties. Remember this all as well. This will be useful for solving the further questions. Nicotiana is a tobacco. Alright, tobacco plant. Then we have Datura. Datura, whenever we speak about Datura, again remember friends that it is also a drugs can also be obtained from the Datura. Alright, see, Datura is generally, Datura acts as what? Hallucinogen. Alright, one of the drug called atropine, alright, is obtained from the Datura, my friends. It is obtained from Datura. Remember that atropine is a drug which is obtained from Datura. Alright, so these are few important aspects about the other plants as well. But the answer is what here? Narcotics includes papaver. Alright, papaver is one among that. So it generally relieves the pain. Alright, now they are also included under now what I can say, the opioids. Dear friends, the next question we have here is the disease in which high levels of uric acid in blood is present. It is a characteristic of which of these following? 4 options have been given: arthritis, rheumatism, gout, and rheumatic heart. So arthritis is what here? It's a inflammation of joints, my dear friends. Alright. So here when the joints are inflamed, it is obvious that there will be pain from mild to severe, and also there will be stiffness in the joints, and arthritis can worsen with age. Rheumatism, alright, the actual term for rheumatism, I can say, we call it as what? Rheumatoid arthritis. Alright, so this rheumatoid arthritis, when we are speaking, dear friends, let me tell you, this is an autoimmune condition, autoimmune disorder it is. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition or disorder where our immune system attacks our own healthy body tissues or body cells. Alright, generally, the we can say that rheumatoid arthritis affects the muscles, alright, followed by, even in case of joints as well as the bones, alright, we can find the body's immune system attacking these regions most often. Then we have gout, my friends. See, gout is actually, it is the presence of high levels of uric acid in the blood. So the right answer is what? It should be gout, my dear friends. And further, in gout, what happens? In case of gout, there is pain and inflammation. Pain and inflammation can also be present. Alright, so in the affected region, all right, more importantly, all right, in the joints. Here uric acid crystallizes and deposits in the joints in the case of gout, my dear friends. So the right answer, all right, especially even in the case of, all right, blood, we can find very high levels of uric acid. The right answer here is gout only. Then we have one more condition here, rheumatic heart. What is this rheumatic heart? This disease, rheumatic heart, all right, is a result, all right, which is caused due to, all right, improperly treated, inadequately, all right, inadequately treated strep throat, all right. So when strep throat is not adequately treated, it can result in rheumatic heart, or even scarlet fever, all right. When it is not properly treated, it can also result in a condition called as rheumatic heart, all right, my friends. So so this is all about question number 12. The right answer here is gout. Next, let us move to question number 13. So we have cocaine is a stimulant which may cause addiction. It is an alkaloid obtained from, so out of these four options we need to identify, all right, from which plant do we actually obtain the cocaine, all right. So first of all here, dear friends, let us understand what actually cocaine is, all right. See, when you are speaking about the cocaine, let me tell you that it is a coca alkaloid, right. Cocaine is a coca alkaloid. It comes under this drug category. This is the first point, my dear friends, and I've already spoken about this. Cocaine is a stimulant. See, most of the coca alkaloids, when we are speaking, they are generally, they cause hyperactiveness, my friends. Hyperactiveness means what? The person can be alert for a very long period of time, all right. So even he can be for 2-3 days sleepless nights, he can also be, all right. So generally, coca alkaloids are also called as superman drugs, all right, because of the hyperactiveness which it causes in people, all right. Superman drugs, all right. Dear friends, the cocaine is obtained from the leaves of cocoa plant, all right. That cocoa plant is generally, we can refer that cocoa plant as Erythroxylum coca. Erythroxylum coca, all right, or we simple terms we can refer that to as cocoa plant. So anyway, so here the right answer, all right, and generally it is used as a local anesthetic in many or most of the cases. I have already told about that, okay. So the right answer here you have to go for option B, that is erythroxylum. Next question, my friends, we have here, which of the following statement is or are correct, or sorry, incorrect about lymph? Incorrect option, the wrong option we need to, all right, select from the four options given. The first option, let us understand. Lymph is colorful as it has hemoglobin, all right, but no RBC. See, lymph is not colorful, my dear friends. It is colorless fluid, all right. Lymph is a colorless fluid, all right. It is generally derived from the blood itself, all right, and has almost composition similar to, all right, plasma of the blood. The liquid component of the blood is called plasma. Almost, it has similar composition when compared to the plasma, except that the lymph will have very low, right, proteins. Protein levels are very low, all right, in the lymph. Some of the proteins which are present in the plasma of blood cannot be seen in the lymph, all right. But as they have mentioned, it is colorful fluid, all right. No, it is not colorful, it is colorless fluid, my dear friends. So option all right, 1 is itself incorrect, all right. What is the second option they have given, all right? So here the lymph contains specialized lymphocytes which are responsible for immunity of the body. So what are the specialized lymphocytes here, all right? Either it can be B lymphocytes, all right, or it can be T lymphocytes, all right. See, we are well familiar with these two. They play a prominent role in providing immunity to our body. B lymphocytes produce humoral immunity. All right. So humoral immunity, whenever we are speaking, it is said to be what? The type of immunity where there is production of antibodies from the WBC cells. Alright, B cells itself produces, B cell itself or B lymphocyte itself is a WBC specialized cell. Alright, so which produces B lymphocyte differentiates to plasma and memory cells, and the plasma cells will produce, alright, the antibodies. Then we have T lymphocytes, my friends. T lymphocytes will show, alright, the cell mediated immunity. It shows the cell mediated immunity. That means the cell, either it can act directly like through phagocytosis, alright, and kill the antigen, alright, or it can release certain chemicals like cytolysin and perforin and act on the antigens. Alright, so anyway, the given second statement is very much correct. Alright, then third statement, let us understand. Lymph is an important carrier for nutrients and hormones. Yes, as like blood, the lymph also carries nutrients and hormones. That is also a correct statement. And further, fats are absorbed through lymph in lacteals present in the intestinal villi. Yes, there are structures called lacteals, alright, which are present in the villi of the intestine, and these lacteals will absorb the fats, alright, and all the other nutrients will be absorbed directly into the bloodstream, but fats are not absorbed into the bloodstream. Alright, it is absorbed into the lymph, my dear friend. That statement is also correct. So statement 2, 3, 4 all are correct except statement 1. So we need to identify which is the incorrect statement or statements among the following. There is only one first statement which is incorrect. So you have to go for option A, that is 1 only. Next we have motile zygote of Plasmodium occurs in. Alright. So here, dear students, see, the motile zygotes of Plasmodium are present, alright, within the gut of females, alright, of malaria causing vector, that is Anopheles. See, this motile zygote, alright, motile zygote of Plasmodium occurs in simple sense, if I want to tell you, female Anopheles mosquito, females of malaria causing mosquito, alright, that is female Anopheles mosquito we can find, dear friends, alright, along with the RBCs, alright, both microgametophyte as well as megagametophyte enter into the gut, where they reunite to result in the production of gut of mosquito. They enter and there they form, alright, a diploid motile zygote. Anyway, see, motile zygote of Plasmodium occurs where? In the gut of the female Anopheles mosquito. Alright, so go for option A. Next question we have here is, which of the following statements regarding the disease typhoid is or are incorrect? See here, dear friends, first option here given is what? Salmonella typhi, alright, a pathogenic bacterium which enter into the human intestine through contaminated food and water, migrate to other organs through blood. Yes, dear friends, typhoid is called as the enteric fever. So it affects the intestine. From there, alright, when there is excreta, alright, of that infected person which comes out through the intestine, alright, so that will be, alright, definitely that is spread to the or transmitted to the healthy food, and the food becomes contaminated from there, generally through houseflies. Alright, this happens, and when it is eaten up by the healthy person, that person may stand a chance of getting this typhoid. That's our first statement is right here. Alright, so we need to identify how many are correct here. Alright, how many statements are correct. Second, we have here sustained high fever 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, weakness, stomach pain, alright, constipation, that is hardening of feces in the intestine, headache, loss of appetite, that means loss of hunger in simple terms, alright, are common symptoms of typhoid. Yes, all the symptoms which have been mentioned here are, they are commonly present in a person infected with typhoid, my dear friends. Alright, so I can say that second statement is also correct. What is the third statement here? Typhoid vaccine is available for as DPT vaccine. Alright, see dear friends, it is the typhoid vaccine is not DPT vaccine, it is taboral vaccine. Alright, typhoid vaccine is taboral vaccine, my friends. It is not DPT vaccine. DPT is given for, is a combination for 3 diseases: diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus. That's why it is called DPT vaccine. Alright, anyway, option 3 is wrong. Then we have Widal test is used for the diagnosis of typhoid fever. See, this Widal test is antigen antibody reaction. We are alright, reaction test, and yes, this is the diagnostic test of typhoid. Our fourth statement is also correct. Then what is the fifth statement? The patient of disease is not required to be treated with antibiotics. See, this statement is also wrong. This statement is wrong. Why it is so? Because antibiotics are the important agents which are used to treat the bacterial diseases, as typhoid is a bacterial disease. Alright, so compulsorily we need antibiotics for treating, alright, the patients infected with the typhoid. Say for example, one of the important antibiotic called chloramphenicol. Alright, this antibiotic, dear friends, is used, alright, is a choice. It's a choice, important choice for the patients who are infected with typhoid. It has been considered since 30 years, my friends. But there are other antibiotics as well. Like for example, if I say the antibiotics like azithromycin, alright, azithromycin. Even I can say the antibiotic like ciprofloxacin. And there is one more antibiotic like ceftriaxone. Alright, all these antibiotics, dear friends, are used for treating the typhoid. Alright, so anyway, as the fifth statement, what they are saying, no, antibiotics are not required to treat typhoid. That's a wrong statement. So statement fifth is incorrect, and statement, alright, again first statement is correct, second is correct, third is incorrect, fourth is correct, right? So you have to go here for option C. You see, alright, 1, 2 and 4 are alright correct, whereas the third and the fifth statement are incorrect. Alright, so this is about question 16. So the next question, we have question number 17. So here, Plasmodium is kept under group Hemosporidia because, alright, it feeds on RBC. It is an endoparasite of RBC. It is associated with blood. Female Anopheles sucks human blood. Alright, see dear friends, alright, first of all, let me tell you what we mean by actually Hemosporidia. Alright, this Hemosporidia are order. Alright, it is an order of, alright, intraerythrocytic parasitic, alright, intraerythrocytic parasitic alveolates. Remember this. This is what we refer it to as Hemosporidia, my friends. See here, intraerythrocytic, from the word itself we can understand that the Plasmodium, to complete its life cycle is of course it requires 2 hosts, right? Its digenetic life cycle, that means one is female Anopheles mosquito and one more is the human beings. See, intraerythrocytic here means to say inside the RBCs. Alright, here it feeds onto the RBC's hemoglobin, alright, by 2 stages, trophozoite and signet ring stage. After the completion of signet ring stage, we don't find, alright, the hemoglobin there. In fact, the cell will burst and release hemozoin chemical, which we are well familiar with. Alright, so here, dear friends, so intraerythrocytic cycle, it's an order of intraerythrocytic cycle, that means to say Hemosporidia. Alright, alveolates means here see group of protists, so the parasitic alveolates. So whichever belong to the order of intra erythrocytic order, alright, they are parasitic alveolates. So alveolates means protists which are within eukarya. That means eukaryotic protists, proper eukaryotic protists are included as alveolates. Here question number 17, the answer should be B, that is endoparasitic. Alright, it's the endoparasite of RBC, Plasmodium. Alright, so go for option B. The next question we have here is health is. See, they have given it's a wealth or absence of disease or infirmity, weight of body according to height, and state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. Dear friends, see, we need to remember here the definition of World Health Organization, alright, which is most acceptable definition for the definition of health. So it defines as what? State of complete physical, alright, mental and social well-being. That is the, and not merely an absence of disease or infirmity. That is the definition given by the World Health Organization. Alright, going by that, I can say the more appropriate option here stands out is option D, that is state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. Alright, and in fact the statement should be continued and written as what? Not merely an absence of disease or infirmity. Alright, so that would be the complete statement, friends. Okay, so anyway, it's an easy question. So anyway, go for option D. Next question we have. So here ciprofloxacin drug is ineffective. It's not ineffective, it is ineffective in. 4 options have been mentioned: tuberculosis, chickenpox, alright, pneumonia and typhoid. See, ciprofloxacin is a antibiotic. First of all, let me tell you that ciprofloxacin is what? It's a antibiotic. It is used to treat many of the bacterial diseases, my dear friends. See, antibiotics act on bacteria and kill them. Alright, so ciprofloxacin acts upon many bacterial causing diseases. Alright, now let me tell you, dear friends, that it is a second generation fluoroquinolone. Fluoroquinolone is one of the important antibiotic. Alright, like that, it is under that second generation it is considered, which is generally fluoroquinolones were used to treat tuberculosis, right? So anyway, my dear friends, ciprofloxacin is it is effective against tuberculosis, which is a bacterial disease. It is effective against pneumonia. It is effective against typhoid, which are all are bacterial diseases. Tuberculosis caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, pneumonia caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae, Diplococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae. Typhoid is caused by Salmonella typhi. But my dear friends, here chickenpox is a viral disease. Alright, chickenpox is caused by varicella zoster virus. Alright, it is caused by varicella zoster virus. That's why I am not including here, friends. It is ineffective against viruses. Antibiotics are ineffective against viruses. The appropriate answer which you have to go for here is chicken pox. That is B. Then, dear friends, next question we have the immunoglobulin abundant in colostrum is. Immunoglobulins can also be referred to as antibodies. Remember that, my friends. Alright. So abundant in colostrum. Colostrum is the dark yellowish milk which is secreted after birth. Alright, for 3 to 4 days especially we can find a dark yellowish milk. Alright, that is what we call it to as colostrum. Alright, the mother's milk. Alright, which it is very necessary for the babies. Alright, and let me tell you here, in case of colostrum, dear friends, immunoglobulin A, IgA, alright, that is option is here B, alright, IgA or immunoglobulin A or antibodies A are the major, alright, ones. Here this will protect the baby against many different types of infectious agents, especially it coats the mucous membranes, all right, and does not let the infection to occur so easily in the babies. It is the most important resistance which is needed for the baby, that will be provided by this IgA. It is present in the colostrum, my friends, in major quantities. So you have to go for option B, that will be your right answer. Next question we have, which of the following is the bird flu virus? All right, bird flu virus. Four options have been mentioned: HIV, H5N1, Haemophilus influenzae, and rhinovirus. See, dear friends, HIV is not bird flu virus. All right, this HIV virus, all right, it's affects or causes a disease called AIDS, all right, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome in human beings especially. And all right, Haemophilus influenzae causes pneumonia, friends, all right. So HIV causes AIDS. This pneumonia is caused by, all right, inflammation of lungs. It is, all right. AIDS is a breakdown of immune system, all right. Pneumonia is the inflammation of lungs. Rhinovirus causes common cold, all right. But H5, all right, N1, right, which is present, is actually the bird flu virus, all right. So here further, if I want to mention few important aspects about H5N1, let me tell you that strains of influenza there, all right. What is H5N1? They are strains of influenza virus, all right, and they infect the birds, my friends. And certain cases, not only they infect the birds, even chances are there that they may infect human beings. So many cases have been observed as such. Okay, so go for option B, that is your right answer. Next question we have here is, antibodies present in colostrum which protect the newborn from certain diseases is of. I think we have solved this type of question before. See, immunoglobulin A. See, option B, which we have here, all right. It provides the first line of defense. It provides the first line of defense, all right. Against what? It provides first line of defense against infection, all right, generally, all right. Whenever there is, we talk about infection, the first line of defense against infection, I am talking only about infection here. Against infection, the first line of defense is provided by IgA antibodies or immunoglobulin A. So how it provides the first line of defense against infection? It inhibits, all right, bacterial as well as, all right, viral, all right, adhesion. It will never attract the bacteria and virus to come and attach to the epithelial cells and neutralize, all right, by releasing the bacterial toxins, all right, never, all right. In fact, it causes control, or it itself causes neutralization of bacterial toxins as well as the viral replication, dear friends. That's why IgA is very important against fighting infection at the first line of defense, my friends. So here go for option B, that will be your right answer. And further, let me also tell you here few important aspects about the other antibodies which have been given. See, we have here IgG. See, IgG generally is a type of antibody. We can find it in the blood and also in the extracellular fluids, all right. Extracellular fluids also we can find the IgG antibodies, all right. And further we have IgD antibodies, right. See, IgD antibodies are generally expressed in plasma membranes of B lymphocytes, all right. And of course they are present in small amounts in serum, all right. Further, IgE antibodies, these antibodies are released during allergic reactions, all right. So fine, my dear friends. So the answer here is what? Antibodies present in the colostrum or IgA which protect the babies against many different types of diseases. Next question we have here is, the immediate adverse effects of drugs and alcohol abuse are maintained in the form of? Alright, see here 4 options have been given. So the first option is fever, then followed by anxiety, shakiness, nausea and sweating, then reckless behavior, vandalism and violence, death. Alright, these are the options. See here friends, the immediate adverse effects of drugs and alcohol, alright, are manifested in the form of, alright, everyone are very familiar with this, reckless behavior, alright, vandalism as well as violence. Alright, so this can lead to lot of disturbances in the family setup, in the society, in the community. Alright, it's rather I can say these are of course very adverse effects of the drugs and alcohol abuse. More intake, abuse means here generally against the norms of the society, that means more intake of drugs and alcohol more than the prescribed form. If it is taken, it can lead to reckless behavior, vandalism as well as violence, my dear friends. Alright, and of course it is not been it is not good to consume excess of these drugs. It can result in, alright, see respiratory failures, heart failures, alright, heart failures or even cerebral hemorrhages. Alright, so anyway, so these are few important points which you can remember with respect to this question, and the answer for this, as I said you, option C. Then dear friends, let us move with the next question. That is question number 24. Antihistamine drug is effective in? Alright, see antihistamines are, yes of course they are drugs. Alright, they are drugs which are used to treat symptoms of allergies. They are used to treat the symptoms of allergies. Alright my friends, so they reduce, alright, the symptoms of allergies, my dear friends, and these drugs help to treat even many different conditions, dear friends, but majorly it is again acting against the allergies. In allergies there is one chemical which is released in very high quantities called as histamine. Alright, so too much histamine if it is produced, alright, by the body's immune system, alright, so it reduces the histamine levels, alright, and protects the body against adverse effects of, alright, histamine. Then dear friends, among the given options, that is they have given bacterial infection, viral infection, paraplegia and allergy. So the right answer here should be option D. Please go for it. The next question we have here is, damage to thymus in a child may lead to? Thymus is an important primary lymphoid organ. Alright, primary lymphoid organ, remember this. Alright, and this thymus is situated between the lungs and near the heart, and generally it is very active in the from the embryonic stage itself. Alright, embryonic stage itself it is very active, and when the person reaches puberty, the male or the female, generally what happens, this starts to shrink. Alright, it reduces in its size or it atrophies. There are many terms you can say. The simple maybe its size completely shrinks. It will become very small, alright, after attaining puberty. Alright, and thymus is a site where T lymphocytes mature, my friends. T lymphocytes will provide us with what type of immunity? They provide us with cell mediated immunity. When T lymphocytes, alright, in fact when thymus is damaged, T lymphocytes will not be produced. When T lymphocytes are not present, produced, what type of immunity is affected here? Cell mediated immunity is affected, dear friends. So the right answer which you have to go for 25th question is loss of cell mediated immunity, as T lymphocytes are affected. So then dear friends, next question we have, intravenous drug abusers are more likely to develop. See, intravenous means through we are injecting the drugs into the body, alright, especially through the veins. All right. So here, friends, see, the greatest risk, all right, of intravenous drug abusers is that, they contract bloodborne pathogens. All right, bloodborne pathogens can be, all right, shared through the needles where they use to inject into the veins. All right, the drugs they inject into the veins, right, directly through needles. So through these needles, if one person is affected, that way may, definitely cause the infection to the other people who are, drug abusers. All right. So it's, generally many different types of diseases can be contracted to this type of people. All right, or to this type of populations, like they can have chance of contracting HIV, or even they can contract viral hepatitis. All right. So then even many different types of sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, or even tuberculosis, TB, what you refer it to as, all these diseases can also be spread in the intravenous drug abusers. All right. So among the given options, let us understand what are the options here: AIDS, cancer, malaria, and typhoid. Among the given options, the more chances of contracting are AIDS. All right, AIDS, because cancer, malaria, and typhoid are not generally, transmitted through intravenously they are not transmitted. The next question we have here is, if you suspect a deficiency of antibodies in a person, to which of the following would you look for confirmatory evidence, whether for serum globulins, fibrinogen in the plasma, hemocytes, or serum albumins? Whenever there is deficiency, whenever there is too low levels of antibodies in the body, see, we always look for the serum globulins. All right, as we all know that the antibodies are most importantly they are associated in the serum. All right, and if you look for serum globulins, my dear friends, all right, which are the, which along with the serum, in fact, globulins, there are many other, of course, enzymes, proteins, complement, and immunoglobulins which are associated with that. All right, when we study the serum globulins, all right, we can, because immunoglobulins are also associated with that. All right, so we can know that if there is any deficiency of antibodies or not, if there is any low levels of antibodies or not. All right, very clearly we can know when we go for, understanding about the serum globulins through confirmatory evidence, and also the molecule, especially the antibodies which are associated with it. Okay, so the right answer here should be option A. Please go for it. Then the last question of this session we have here is, which of the following is not a transmission of HIV? Multiple sexual partners, sharing infected needles, mosquito bite, and transfusion of contaminated blood. Dear friends, when there is a person has contact with multiple sexual partners, the risk of getting transmitted by HIV is more. All right, so that all right, we have to understand here that should not be a cause. All right, and having multiple sexual partner, it is a cause, one of the cause of transmission of HIV. All right, so that's not the option. Sharing infected needles, all right, that is also not the option. All right, because through sharing of needles also HIV is transmitted. Mosquito bite, dear friends, this is the answer, because see, HIV is generally not able to replicate within mosquito's gut. In the mosquito's gut, all right, the HIV does not replicate, my dear friends. It is broken down there. All right, in the mosquito gut, the HIV is broken down. All right, as simple as that. So whenever for example, let us say now, okay, a mosquito is carrying, all right, has injected has sucked the blood from the infected person with AIDS. All right, and the same mosquito comes and bites the healthy person, so infection will not happen, because only saliva is injected into the humans, all right, when a mosquito bites. And let me tell you, as HIV becomes inactive in the saliva of the mosquito, in the gut of the mosquito, definitely there are no chances of survival of HIV in the gut and the saliva of the mosquito, and it does not infect the healthy person when, all right, that mosquito which has inject which has in fact sucked the blood from the HIV infected person comes and bites the healthy person. Anyway, dear friends, so the right answer here is mosquito bite only. But dear friends, we have next option D also here, transfusion of contaminated blood. All right, see, contaminated blood here means to say the contaminated blood can also be have HIV virus in it. All right, contaminated blood, so there is a high risk here. All right, so this is also not the option. The only option which is right here is that HIV cannot transmit through mosquito bite. Please go for option C, and do follow the upcoming classes as well, all right, so that you will be well thorough with the chapters. Thank you very much.